Hello and welcome to Post to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. We're here today to talk about Nashville and Chicago. I almost said Pittsburgh and Columbus. We're here today to talk about Nashville and Chicago. And we're going to talk about it because Nashville just upset Chicago in 4 games straight. Can you believe it?
No, I really can't. I can't believe it at all.
This is crazy.
I would have never predicted it.
Yeah, luckily I did predict it that they'd win, but not in 4 games. That's a miracle. I don't even understand how, this is the second year in a row that Chicago has lost in the first round. Yep. And this year they got swept. Mm-hmm. What's wrong?
You know, this is, to me, the most shocking thing that's happened so far in the playoffs, in my opinion. I find that Nashville beating Chicago 4 straight. However, in the first 2 games, they shut them out. In Game 2, Nashville beat Chicago in Chicago 5-0. They shut them out the first 2 games, beat them 4 straight. Nashville just annihilated them. How the hell did they do it? I'm still kind of questioning this, looking into it, trying to figure out what exactly went wrong for the Chicago Blackhawks, because I picked Chicago to come out of the West, to represent the West, because I thought, wow, this team is stacked. You know, you look at them on paper, all 4 lines, they got amazing depth. Defensive core is very experienced, very great guys there on the blue line as well as in goal, Crawford. I just don't really know what exactly happened. Is the team fatigued after all these years and so many deep playoff runs? I don't really buy it. I mean, you do have a lot of time in the offseason, and last year Chicago had plenty of it, in my opinion, so I don't really blame that. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm kind of still at the point where I'm questioning so many things. Is it the time now for Chicago to look at maybe a coaching change? Change the atmosphere a little bit? I
was just going to ask you that.
That's one of the things that I'm really looking at, because, I mean, how long has Quenneville been there? Has it been 10 years?
I don't know. I think it's been a little less than 10 years.
A little less than 10?
But
I mean, it feels like 10 years.
He's arguably the best coach in the league. Do you fire the best coach in the league?
I mean, next to a guy like Mike Babcock, Quenneville to me is, the top echelon of coaches. That's for sure. But at this point, when you have your core group of Taze and Kane and Keith and Seabrook, all these guys, they're not getting any younger, right? So if Chicago is looking at winning another Stanley Cup, they're going to want to do that, in my opinion, within the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
That's it. So the clock is ticking. And if you look at last year and then this year, to me, Chicago is going to look at this as 100% embarrassment that they went out 4 straight in the manner that they did. It's not like they lost every game in overtime and it was that close. It was that much of a nail biter of a series. It really wasn't. It was completely one-sided. And to me, they're going to look at that as an embarrassment and they're going to address it. Are they going to blow up the team? No, I don't think so. I think the next logical step is, sadly, maybe doing a coaching change and trying to change the atmosphere a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, because I mean their top 6 is strong. They can roll 4 lines. Their 6 defensive core, their top 6 defensive core is world class. Crawford's a great goalie.
Yep.
Darling is probably one of the best, if not the best backup in the league.
Oh yeah, very possible.
It blows me away that this happened, and I don't understand it. Do they get rid of Crawford? No. Do they blow up the defense? No. Do they blow up the forwards? I don't think so. So I think you're right when you're questioning the coach.
The other thing, too, is you look at their core guys on that team, and they've been intact for quite a few years because Taze, if I remember correctly, was drafted in 2006. So you're looking at a decade of basically the same lineup. And Chicago always has this amazing ability to kind of work around the cap, even though they're really not doing that. They have guys coming up. They're due for a nice contract based on what they accomplished with Chicago. Chicago can't afford them. They go elsewhere. But yet they seem to replace them with the exact same type of player.
Yeah.
And they kind of just keep rolling that format.
It's remarkable.
And the key guys stay in place. Now, with the coach being there so long, those key guys in place, has the West just completely figured out Chicago because they've basically been icing the same thing for basically a decade? Have they just 100% figured out how to beat the Chicago Blackhawks? Has it become that easy? Because there's been no huge changes in that organization. There's been no superstar leaving the franchise. There's been no coaching change. It's basically the same style of hockey year in, year out from the Chicago Blackhawks. And because it's been that same style of hockey, have they just 100% figured out that team?
That's a good point. if we look at the salary cap, we have Kane, who's eating up $10.5 million. We have Jonathan Taves, who's eating up $10.5 million. That's $21 million.
In two players.
Do you think that's hurting the Chicago Blackhawks? Because we haven't really seen a big name come in and out of Chicago in a while. It's been, like you said, their core for a while. Do you think that's hurting them?
I don't think so. I really don't, because you look at other teams and they have, the top two. Let's say if we go to Dallas with Ben and Sagan, if we go to Pittsburgh with Malkin and Crosby, not as high a contracts as Taves and Kane, but these guys are still making a bucket load of money. You got to have your top two. And, Chicago, say if Kane wasn't there, they wouldn't be as lethal as they are with him in the lineup. Same with Taves, what he brings to the team. He doesn't have as much scoring finesse as Kane by any means, but his leadership qualities and his two-way play definitely make up for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who get paid an incredible amount of money in the league, and I would say that Kane and Taves deserve every penny of what they make. Kane is a world-class talent. Taves, like you said, is an amazing leader, stuff like that. But then you have guys like Kopitar who make $11 million. Does he warrant that kind of salary? I don't know. Not this year, that's for sure. So.
No, definitely not this year. Poor LA. But yeah, I'm really thinking it's almost time to change it up a little bit in Chicago. It's basically been the same thing for a very long time, and I strongly believe teams have just completely figured them out. The whole way how to beat them.
So just a system change, basically.
Yeah, system change, and that'll come with a new coach, and with that comes just a new aura around the whole franchise. And I think at this point that's really the only thing they can do, because on paper that team looks amazing.
Do you think Quenneville did a poor job, or do you just think it's just a change in general that they need?
Yes and no, because going into the series, I think maybe Chicago underestimated Nashville just a little. I mean, come on, they are Chicago. They have won 3 Cups recently, blah, blah, blah. List goes on with all their accolades, right? And with Kane winning at Ross last year and so on. So they're a stacked team, and I think they might have underestimated them a little bit. But at the same time, what did Chicago really do after Game 2 when they got blown out 5-0 on home ice? What did they really do to adjust?
Yeah.
Going into Game 3. What did Quenneville do to try to change it up? Did he rotate lines? Did he change things like pattern wise? Say, instead of trying to carry across the blue line, did they jump and chase? Was there a lot of changes? I'm sure there were subtle things, but not a lot that really jumped out to me. I thought, wow, okay, yeah, they're really addressing something here. I don't know. I just think it's really time to shake it up a little bit based off the last 2 playoff exits.
Chicago's always been a really strong 5-on-5 team.
Yeah,
I felt they really struggled in the playoffs, and I don't know. It's just, I think we're seeing a bit of a change in Chicago, and I'm happy because, and that sounds mean. I have all the respect in the world for Chicago. What they've done for the league, what they've done for that city, and all the Chicago fans have been amazing.
Yeah.
Kudos to them. However, I'm so happy that they were eliminated, because I'm so sick of seeing them play, and I know that there's other people who feel that way as well. Like you.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I'm always kind of sick of hearing about Chicago being the powerhouse in the West.
Yeah.
If you want to come out of the West, you got to go through Chicago. This year, I really thought that was the case. I really believe Chicago would be that difficult to beat out. And Nashville proved me 100% wrong, and I'm still in shock over it. But I mean, Chicago has had a lot of success over the last few years. And at the same time, I really enjoy seeing other teams now have that opportunity. With Chicago out, to me, the West is wide open right now.
So let's switch over to Nashville a little bit. And there's so many great things to say about Nashville. I mean, Pekka Rinne has played maybe the best in the playoffs so far as goaltending goes. There's some other bright lights there too, like Arvidsson is quietly maybe the most underrated player in the playoffs this year. He's done incredible things. He's such a talent. We have guys like Forsberg. That whole line is playing amazing. PK Subban is quietly having a great series. He's not being that standout distraction type of guy. He's having fun. He's smiling. Roman Josi is lighting the lamp and scoring goals and playing amazing. There's so many great storylines with Nashville, and their fans are absolutely incredible. I said this in a previous video that I have new respect for Nashville fans. Admittedly, I haven't watched Nashville play a whole lot other than the playoffs a few years ago. So it's nice to see a new fan base and stuff. And admittedly, Nashville's going to move up my list of favorite teams. And because they won, I'm saying it right now, I'm going to buy a Nashville hat.
Nice.
Soon. And add to the collection.
Nice.
Yeah. So that'll happen over the next few weeks, I think. Got to show my respect for Nashville. And I said in my bracket challenge that I thought that Nashville would beat Chicago. I had a good feeling. I don't know why. But I did also predict that they'll go to the conference finals. So I don't want to jinx them, but I've already said that. So that's not really jinxing.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about Nashville?
Sadly, there's a part of me that thinks they overachieved a little bit.
Oh.
Sorry. I think the experience factor is going to kick in a little bit going into the next rounds. And boy, if Nashville made it to the conference final, that would be an incredible story in itself.
It would.
But, I look at their lineup and they are a deep team. They really are. But to me, I still don't look at them as a team that can go all the way just yet. But what they're gaining right now, man, that experience is invaluable, what they're gaining. I mean, to be able to say, hey, we took out the Chicago Blackhawks, whereas majority of analysts hopped on Chicago and said, yeah, they're going to come out of the West. Well, they just went out 4 straight by the Nashville Predators. Man, I am just so in shock with what Nashville has accomplished. And hey, this is only the first round. What are they going to do in the next round? I really don't know. And I think that's where the experience is really going to kick in and kind of hurt them.
Yeah, it could happen. And if they make it to the conference finals, and hypothetically, so does Anaheim, I think that's going to be a tough series. And I mean, you could say the same thing about Chicago, and they just blew Chicago out of the water. So who knows? But I think they're going to have a tough time getting all the way. But it's not impossible. So.
Yeah. But at the same time, from what I've seen from Chicago, man, I think any team could have beat them. They look that bad at times.
I agree.
I don't know if that's going to play in Nashville's favor or against them, because also at the same time, you have to remember, Nashville's going to have quite a layover right now until they figure out who they're playing in the next round. It could be a week. It's very possible. It could be a solid week. And we saw in the season with the bye weeks, teams coming out of their bye week, normally they didn't have success for the first 2 games because, you take a week off, you're not quite there when it comes to game shape, timing, all that stuff. And it could come back to bite them a little. Yeah, it really could. Definitely. I know if I were playing, I'd want to keep going every second night, just nonstop.
And we're in an interesting scenario where if the St. Louis Blues win, I think they play tomorrow. If St. Louis wins against Minnesota tomorrow, Nashville would play St. Louis.
Right. And
we have 2 teams that have had early wins, and they have a ton of time to study each other. That doesn't happen very often. Usually only one team, there'll be one team that gets an early win, and the next team goes 7 games or whatever, and there's a quick turnaround time. But 2 teams having that much time to study each other, it's interesting. I can't remember the last time that's happened.
Yeah, it would have been a while, that's for sure.
So just closing thoughts on this series. I just want to briefly ask you, what does Chicago do as well next year? And again, they're in the regular season.
Honestly, yes. I look at Chicago now as almost the Washington of the West. It's to the point where they have an amazing season, but come playoff time, it's almost kind of unpredictable what they're going to do based off the last 2 years. I think Chicago really needs to do something in order for it to sink into the players. Like, hey, you guys need to be better in the postseason. And sadly, a lot of times in a situation like this, the coach is the one that takes the fall. However, if they ever did get rid of Quenneville, my goodness, he would be plucked up so fast.
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable.
Yeah, it would be. So Nashville, do you think they do better or worse next year? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Next year, woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough to say, free agency and all that stuff. I'm going to say they do worse because to me they've overachieved already.
Okay. Good insight. Appreciate your appreciate your opinion.
Sounds a little harsh, but
no, it's okay. It's okay. All right, well, that wraps up this series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did because I have a new love for Nashville. But if you like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button because we're doing all things hockey, all series. We're going to talk about everything, who got eliminated, who went on, and we're going to set up the next upcoming series once they're set, and everything hockey. So hit the subscribe button if this is your first video. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Adios.